What if the voice in your head, the one that defends you, justifies you, protects your image, is also the voice keeping you small? That voice is your ego, and it doesn't want you to grow. It wants you to stay safe. It wants to be right, even if you suffer for it. In this video, we're going to expose the ego trap, how it keeps you weak, reactive, and stuck, and how to dismantle it before it runs your life. This is not about destroying your ego. It's about making sure you, not your survival instincts, are in control. The ego is not confidence. It's not arrogance. It's the part of your mind that says, I am this. I am successful. I am a failure. I am a good person. I am the victim. I am smart. I am not enough. The ego is a story, a mask, and like all masks, it hides something. Jung said, the ego is the center of consciousness, but it is not the whole self. It's the narrator, but not the truth. It's a security guard with a clipboard saying, this belongs here, that doesn't. And the ego's number one job? To protect its identity. Even if that identity is toxic, even if it's limiting, it would rather suffer in the familiar than risk change. Ego doesn't want the truth, it wants control. That's why it avoids feedback. That's why it hates being wrong. That's why when someone challenges you, you react, defend, argue. Because if the ego is wrong, it feels like you are dying. But truth isn't an attack. Truth is freedom. The ego resists growth because growth requires humility. The ego avoids accountability. It blames, deflects, shames. It would rather protect your image than protect your future. That's why some people stay broke, because their ego won't let them start small. That's why some people stay lonely, because their ego refuses to admit their part in the pain. That's why talented people hide, because their ego fears failure more than it desires success. Here are 5 of the most common ego traps that silently sabotage your life. 1. The identity trap you attach to a label. I'm not creative. I'm just like this. But you're not a label. You're a process. If you defend your identity, you reject your potential. 2. The victim trap. You cling to your pain because it gives you a story, and stories give you control. But your trauma is not your title. You can honor what hurt you without becoming it. 3. The comparison trap. Your ego says, I'm behind. I'm not as good as them. But life is not a ladder. It's a labyrinth. The only real comparison is, are you better than who you were yesterday? 4. The control trap. You try to control everything, but control is fear in disguise. The more you need to control, the less you trust yourself. 5. The validation trap. You chase approval like oxygen, but the more people you need to impress, the less freedom you have. Ego feeds on applause, but your soul, it only needs alignment. You don't destroy the ego, you observe it. The moment you see it, really see it, it loses power. Ego says, I already know. Wisdom says, show me. Ego says, I must be right. Truth says, I'd rather grow. Ego says, what will they think? Soul says, what do I think? So how do you break free? Step 1. Awareness. Notice your reactions. When you feel defensive, insecure, superior, pause. Ask, is this truth or ego? Step 2. Accountability. Own your mistakes. The ego sees failure as death. The wise see it as data. Step 3. Disidentification. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the awareness behind them. Step 4. Service. The ego asks, what can I take? The soul asks, how can I serve? Serving something greater than yourself shrinks the ego's grip. Your ego isn't evil. It's just afraid. Afraid to look foolish. Afraid to be rejected. Afraid to not be enough. But you are not afraid. You're ready. Ready to go beyond the mask. Ready to step into who you really are. Not your titles, not your followers, not your failures, but your truth. Like and subscribe to Ancient Light to keep walking the path of dark wisdom.